Welcome to the Digital Handshake. I'm your host, Scott Jorgensen, and I'm so pleased to introduce our guest today on today's episode is Dr. Edward Gronet from North Carolina. And here on the Digital Handshake, as you recall, is we help make your digital first impression your strongest asset. And let's just take a moment and get to know Dr. Gronet from North Carolina. Where'd you grow up?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Grew up in North Carolina in the Raleigh area, college at UNC and med school at ECU. So all my education, except for training, was in North Carolina.
Oh, fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, we're here in our Dallas studios, and we're so pleased to have you with us. On the Digital Handshake, really we're focused on how do we make that sort of first impression digitally, really our strongest asset, as we mentioned. And so as part of that, walk me through kind of what your strategy is from a marketing standpoint to promote you as a plastic surgeon out there. Like, what are you doing to, target, convert, attract patients?
So first and foremost, I think we'll speak digitally in just a moment. But the best way to attract patients is to do good work with your existing patients. There's nothing better than the word of mouth and kind of that whole vibe that can go through a community when you're putting good quality work that's safe out there. But that's once you already know people. So it's very interesting, like we've been discussing, the handshake is that online presence or that social media presence, because so many people are going to say, do a search or some sort of internet query, ask ChatGPT, who's the best in town. And what I think is so interesting that you guys are doing here and also down the hall is curating that digital handshake. Is how do we, ideally in an ideal world, someone's going to watch all the videos that we're filming, all the content that I'm putting out, and have only very specific questions. And I need to go over no information essentially with them at the consultation because they've already seen how I do things, why I do things, and my aesthetic and my philosophy. So it's almost like a pre-meeting or a meeting in advance. It's like doing your homework beforehand, right?
Right.
We can see, like, as a surgeon, we all have kind of different philosophies and way of doing things. And that's going to come out in, like, when we're describing ourselves or our About Me page, our social media. What are we doing? What are we eating for dinner yesterday?
Right.
But talking about procedures and how we, let's say, select patients for different procedures or like, why does one procedure have no scar and another procedure has a long scar when it's on the same body part? What if we can answer questions like this in advance? What if we can allow patients to know what the consultation process looks like, what the recovery process looks like, or why even come see me before they even get in the office? Building trust before we ever even do that physical handshake with that digital handshake is just so interesting and something that technology and studios like this are enabling us to do more and more these days.
You touched on the word trust. I think patients at the end of the day, that's probably the most important emotion that they can garner digitally before they even come and visit with you is, do I trust him, right? Does he make me feel comfortable? Do I feel, at peace? Am I putting my sort of, life or face or body in his hands or her hands? And are they going to do good work, right? When a patient finds you online, how do you want to show up? How do you want them to see and feel you digitally?
Curated, having a certain aesthetic, not being in a T-shirt sort of thing. This is funny. One of my mentors and someone that trained me in here in Texas said the patient sees two things, and this is applicable to what we're talking about. So I'll get there.
Good.
The patient sees two things. They see you, the surgeon, and the dressing that you put on. So both of those have to be appropriate, timely, and look good. And that's something that we have to do these days with a digital footprint. So we have to show up, prepared, hair combed. You talked about trust a moment ago. When you're trying to see if you can trust someone without meeting them, just watching them online, how are they carrying themselves? Do I or another surgeon, does it sound like we know what we're talking about? Or are we just kind of making it up as we go? Or are we talking from experience and lessons learned out there in the trenches, in the operating room, and in the clinic?
Right.
And I think when you have confidence in what you're doing and what you're talking about, it shows. And I think that even though, a screen's a 2D image of a 3D person, I still think that can come through, especially in discussions like this.
Right.
Because we're not just saying, hey, this is why I do X, Y, and Z surgery, and this is how you recover. It's like, why did we even get into this? So, why are we we're here on a Saturday doing things,
Right.
talking about this
Yeah.
instead of doing anything else, right? We could be watching college football right now, but we want to talk about how to build trust, and this is how we do it.
Well, as part of that building trust, it's identifying the platforms, right? That I think are, most followed by your target audience, right? If I was to ask you, Dr. Gronet, you could either have your website or you could have your Instagram feed.
Mhm.
Which is your number one for targeting and attracting and perhaps converting patients? Is it your Instagram or is it your website?
I think that's hard. I almost want to take a cop out answer to there.
Okay.
I think Instagram and the social media is a great way to market just your presence in the community, but we're not going to do any long form or really in depth deep dives on an Instagram. It's more just a quick cut. Hey, this is what we're doing today, or hey, look how good this post op looks, or hey, look how happy my patients are. But if we want to actually do education, edutainment, I believe we
Yeah.
call it around here.
Okay.
I think that really needs to be on a longer format, so a website. So I think that introductions are great on social media and maybe some follow up just before and afters. But to really build that trust that you mentioned and to really explain things in advance, I really think that requires a website with multiple pages, multiple videos, explanations written out to really just inform the public more.
Right. And I think, speaking about the public, I think, patients don't understand that as a plastic surgeon, focused on cosmetic procedures, at the end of the day, it's retail medicine, right? So, you know, patients are paying for these treatments themselves. And as a result, right, they're shopping around
Mhm.
and they may be looking at your website or your Instagram feed, and they're probably looking at 4 or 5 others, right, in town to get a sense for, who do I feel most comfortable with? Who do I think would do the best job? Who can I afford?
Mhm.
Right? All those types of things. So with that in mind, what do you do from a marketing standpoint and perhaps from a digital marketing standpoint to create that best impression?
I think it's really important with whom you partner.
Yeah.
So I partner with PSC Media,
Mhm.
Plastic Surgery Channel. I could have anyone edit a video or shoot a video, right?
Right.
Why not have the best of the best that only do something in my niche? We come to Dallas to do this a few times a year with just the best in the game. So there's no better way to market yourself than with people that are in your lane instead of employing someone locally or just anyone. Again, anyone can cut a video together, right? Anyone can set up a camera. But when an organization like you guys is putting all of your effort into something like this, that curates the best image and the best content,
Right.
clean, crisp, good transitions, high definition, great sound studio. All of these things are really the bonus of partnering with an organization like your own. So I think it's the choice of who you work with. And it's the same thing when a patient's looking for a surgeon.
Right.
It's a choice of who they work with. It might not matter. What's hanging on the walls is certainly something we'll look at, how the website looks, but what's the true content there?
Right.
What's the discussion? And I think that's where it really comes through.
I 100% agree because, as a patient, I want to make certain that that doctor has really thought through, all the details,
Mhm.
right? And it's just not just the surface level that I feel like if there's anything at risk or a complication that, I know that I'm in good hands,
Mhm.
right? Because he or she has thought through all of the details
Mhm.
with their marketing, with how they approach medicine, with everything that they do within their practice. Couldn't agree more. With that in mind, as you seem to be a pretty thoughtful, insightful guy,
Well, thank you.
yeah, I mean, I think, looking forward,
Mhm.
right? Um, what are some new potential trends or new things that you see out there from a digital or a marketing standpoint that you're like, you know what, I need to be doing more of that? Is there anything that comes to mind?
What one thing that I have not tried yet, but I want to,
Okay.
is the meta glasses or
Mm,
the with the lenses in there
mhm.
where you can record during surgery. Wouldn't it be interesting? And maybe not everyone wants to see this in selective cases that aren't big and bloody and
Right.
stuff like that. But how does surgery work? Or can I film an entire surgery? You see what I see.
Right.
And then we have some professionals in the post production that can kind of splice it together, make it nice, make it not hours long because who wants to watch that? but like everyone knows, say everyone knows about tummy tucks and how muscle repair is part of that. What does that actually look like? Wouldn't it be so interesting to see that from the surgeon's viewpoint? Or a rhinoplasty? What if we can see how the nose looks as we're opening it
Mm.
and then as we're closing it and look at that transformation underneath the skin? Wouldn't it be so, I mean, amazingly powerfully educational to show how we're doing our SMAS work or how we're manipulating cartilages in a rhinoplasty? Because then you get, why is it tight right here?
Mm.
Oh, because he tightened my SMAS there,
Mhm.
Why can't I breathe? Oh, those darn splints are in there. And seeing the surgeon place those, I don't know if it'd be, for me, it's not too graphic at all.
Right.
For a lot of people, it probably would be.
Right.
But what is a better way to get your question answered than actually seeing why my tummy is tight? Oh, he did those stitches in there to tighten my muscles. Now I get it.
Mhm.
And I think that first person, that point of view thing, it could be really I don't want to say a game changer, but a very nice addition to the whole, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Demystifying the experience.
Yeah. You mentioned education, and what we're finding is that the best form of marketing at the end of the day is always good information and education delivered in a very thoughtful, appropriate fashion for patients. There's some doctors out there that do a lot of gimmicks and, fun games and things like that, which is, obviously there's a place for that in social media. But at the end of the day, I think what patients truly want is great education. And one of the forms that we have found is that podcasting, kind of what we're doing today, is that long form, both video and audio podcasting is a great way to provide tremendous education. One of the things I want to do now is just play a little bit of a game with you,
All right.
if that's okay. It's just a chance for us to kind of get to know you a little bit better. You're at a dinner party.
Lovely. What are we having?
It's your choice. It's your
Okay,
dinner
okay.
party. Hopefully some great food, some great wine, and you have a chance to invite 3 plastic surgeons. Now they could be dead or alive, and they could also be plastic surgeons you have met or plastic surgeons you've never met before. Who are your 3 that you're inviting to your dinner party?
That is a very difficult question.
It is.
The one I'm certainly wanting to invite, I cannot think of his name right now, but the one that the book, like, there was a surgeon in World War One who, maybe it was World War One or two. I think it was World War One because they had a lot of burns in the trenches, incendiary devices.
Yeah.
And he essentially invented reconstructive surgery outside of, Shanshrusha or whatever his name was from
Mhm.
India, like hundreds of years ago. That's a pioneer.
Mhm.
This field did not exist until he started doing things. So that would certainly be one. I'm a huge fan of the Baker Gordon Symposium. I go every year. So you have, Dr. Rourke and Dr. Stu's in there really, really leading that up. I know these guys, right?
Right.
What about the guys that taught them at the Dr. Bacon, Dr. Gordon, those originals, the guys that figured, hey, we see a potential way to help patients live their best lives, be their best selves. We're starting to figure out how to do it. Let's bring others with us every year to teach each other. Talking to those 2 guys, having them at dinner would be super fun. And I've heard a lot of good stories about them too, that they're great conversationalists. But wouldn't it be great to see, we're always learning how to do things. Talking to the OGs, let's call them,
Yeah.
why they started doing this.
Yeah.
How do we learn? Oh, from each other. That's brilliant.
Right.
You can learn anything from a paper or a book chapter, anything like that. But when you get everyone in the same room together, that's where the magic happens.
Awesome.
So that would be the dinner party.
That's your dinner party. I love
Yeah.
it. Well, Dr. Gronet, it's been a pleasure to have you here on the Digital Handshake, and I think we learned a lot
Thank you.
from this time together. And again, I want to thank our audience and our sponsor, Media PSE, for bringing this podcast to you. And again, let's put it there. Let's get digital. And again, thanks for being part of the Digital Handshake.
And to sign off the Digital Handshake, a physical one.
Oh yeah, put it there. Absolutely.